Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first ever Saturday Special Live. And today I have got a wonderful guest, Alejandro. Alejandro, say hello to everyone.
Well, hello, everyone, and hello, Anna. What a great opportunity, to discuss today a very interesting topic. I love this topic, and when I shared that with you, you told me that you love this topic as well. So at least two of us thumbs up, for this topic. And I know that we are going to be adding value because other people need to listen to what we are going to be sharing with them.
Absolutely. And the anticipated topic is cultivating the champion mindset. How do you get yourself the mindset of the champion? And Alejandro is a little bit of a pro in that area, and he will have some tips and strategies to share with you guys. And I will add there and there from my areas of expertise so that you can have the most comprehensive input on this particular subject. So without further adu, Alejandro, let's talk cultivating champion mindset.
Yes. You are a coach, Anna, and you love to help people reach a higher level in their journeys and their potential. And we know that in order to help others, in order to even help ourselves to perform at a higher level, we need to start with our thinking, with our mind, with our mindset, and what a good perspective to have than looking at a champion's mindset, because that's why champions are champions, is because they do things a little bit different from the rest of the people. And how do we go about cultivating that champion mindset? And to begin with, it's a great thing. There is a fellow by the name of Trent Shelton. And Trent Shelton was a former American football wide receiver, a player. He played for several teams here in the United States. Now, after playing, for a number of years, then he retired completely. He left the league and he became a motivational speaker. And he shared in one of his speeches, a statement that I want to share with you and all of our listeners, because I think that this is a starting point. Trent Shelton said the following. He says, "I had to create possibilities for myself when no one wanted to give me an opportunity." Okay? And he further said this, "I turned my pain into progress. I turned my pain into progress." And that sentence, Anna, really caught my eye, it caught my attention, and I began thinking about that. And that, I think, is the beginning of the cultivation of a champion's mindset. Is what does a champion do? Well, a champion, when he's confronted with pain, and believe me, when you are an athlete, when you want to perform at your very high level, then there's going to be pain coming your way because life is life. And what a champion does is a champion is not stuck in that pain. It does something about it. And what it does is he turns that pain into progress, and he keeps moving in the direction of his or her goals and dreams. That's the beginning point, in my opinion, of cultivating and beginning to develop a champion's mindset.
Do you know, Alejandro, listening to you, I totally agree with you. I don't know if I've ever shared with you that I'm also a personal trainer, and I've got a studio that I'm reopening in October.
Yes.
Having been in the lockdown, I turned the crisis into opportunity, and I moved one of my packages, the most comprehensive fitness package, online. And the only way I accept clients, and the package is getting the body you want. So very, very powerful 3-month program. But I only accept clients after 20 minutes consultation. I don't sell it online. And that is because I actually want to assess their mindset. Because if they're resilient, if they have got the mindset of a can-do attitude, anything is possible. It doesn't matter, nothing worked for me. I trust you to make this program work for me, and I'm open to new techniques. Then that is my ideal client. And equally, if it's the other way around, it is definitely not my client. And I think a lot of that comes down, what you said, turning the pain into opportunity. A lot of it comes down to growth mindset, I think, as well. Michael Jordan was told he was too short when he was younger. And he had a growth mindset, didn't he? He didn't give up. He was awake before anybody else, very early in the morning, practice, 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 sweat and hard work, no matter what everybody else says. Just keep on going. And that's history. And I think it's the same for anybody who's going to achieve beyond where they are now, and then beyond that as well. So anyway, I put to you again.
No, that's exactly right. And what a great thing, because you mentioned something that it's also very, very, very important. And is if we can separate the whole world, I mean, like 7.5 billion people living on the planet, okay? If we can just magically separate them in two groups, then on one group, you're going to have what you called the can-do people. People who, there are no obstacles. They can do anything that they set their minds to do. And it's lovely to be surrounded with those kinds of people. I mean, they can do, because you just get. Do we want to start this project? Of course, yes, we can do it. Do we want to start this business? Yes, we can do it. It doesn't matter whether they know or they don't know. If they don't know, they can do people. They are going to find the resources that they need, and they are going to learn the things that they need to learn in order to get something, whatever they want to get done, they get it done. So anything is possible. They operate under a possibility thinking mentality. And then the other group, of course, is the cannot do people. The people who will always put excuses for anything. I cannot go for a run this morning. Why? Because it's too cold, because it's raining, because it's snowing, because I am tired. And it's just excuse, and they cannot do anything. Why can you not leave your 9-to-5 job and start your own business? Well, because I don't know whether it's going to work. I am too young. I'm too old. And just keep piling excuses as opposed to getting things done.
I think it's procrastination, but also there are people who not necessarily procrastinate, but there are people who want to do something and they start doing it, and then they run into obstacles, or somebody tells them you can't, and they stop. Whereas the people who have got that champion mindset, no doesn't exist. They will be thinking, how do I get around that no? If they're telling me no, I can't do that, how am I going to prove them wrong? There is no such thing as acceptance of the circumstances. There is just ways of working around the circumstances to still arrive at their goal of whatever it is that they want to achieve. So I think there are people who are taking action, but then they are not looking for ways around obstacles and for ways around no. And yes, of course, there are those people that you've described who just procrastinate. They talk the talk, they don't walk the walk. And certainly I think with that particular one, as an LP practitioner, I'm like, when you were talking about it, I know which process would work for those people, to get them going. Because a lot of the times, even those people who procrastinate, sometimes they are victims of the circumstances of their childhood. And that's because they were told they can't do it. They were told they're not techie. They're told they're not particularly inventive. They were told that because their dad and grandfather was a carpenter, they are going to be a carpenter as well. And, they never suspend that belief or that roof of how far they can go by simply asking, what if it wasn't the case? What would I do then? They just go through life believing whatever they were told in the childhood and listening to that inner talk, which is, of course, the collection of everything that we've heard when we were kids, whether it's negative or positive, right?
That's exactly right. And as a matter of fact, the quote that I wanted to share comes from one of the greatest tennis player, a woman, Billie Jean King. And Billie Jean King said, champions keep playing until they get it right. Champions keep playing, and so champions keep playing, keep making mistakes, keep sweating, keep being in the arena playing until when? Until they get it right. And there's no excuse, there's nothing else on the way. Anna, I am a leadership and a growth mindset coach. And when it comes to growth mindset, some people, they have that growth mindset that they said, well, I was born with this perhaps abilities, and I can keep developing these abilities, and I can keep growing and even developing other abilities that are going to serve me well in my future. But there are other people who have, unfortunately, a fixed mindset, and their belief is that, well, I was born this way. This is the cards that I was dealt with.
That's right.
And there is nothing, absolutely nothing that I can do.
Absolutely.
And how unfortunate is that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And as well, growth mindset, or fixed mindset. Fixed mindset is a lot to do with beliefs.
Yeah.
If they believe they're talented at football, and they can't get better in all the other areas, that's where they're going to focus. That's beliefs really lead into that fixed mindset. And Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, he said he tried it over 10,000 times, I think, if I'm correct. I do not remember the exact number, but I know it was in thousands to invent the light bulb. And that's how many tries it took. A lot of people would have given up, and it's very much in line with your quote, that champions keep playing until they get it right. And super amazing example is Edison with his light bulb experiment and invention of the light bulb, because he kept going until he actually got it right. So that's wonderful. We determined what it is, the champion mindset, and how it's different from a mindset of a non-champion person. We talked about procrastination. We talked about limiting beliefs that stop people achieving and growing. And we also talked a little bit about the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And that plays a huge role in the champion mindset, because it's essential to have growth mindset to then develop the champion mindset. And that's something you guys could work on. Now I would like to go to you and ask you a little bit about the traits. What else? This is the definitions we've discussed.
Yes.
Let's talk traits.
Well, there are, I'm sure that there are more, but just for the sake of this session, there are 5 traits that defined a champion's mindset. And the very first one is commitment. Champions have a very strong commitment. The champion commitment is, and the mindset is the ability to stay loyal to what you said you were going to do. Okay, that loyalty. If you yourself a command, okay, and you follow through with it, and you have that commitment that no matter what happens outside, you are going to stick with it. You are going to follow. And if you said, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock because I'm going to train, I'm going to work out because I need to journal. I need to spend time for myself, whatever it is. And you said that, and you are committed to do it. No matter what, no matter whether you're tired, whether you're not tired, is that commitment to doing what you said you were going to do that separates regular people from a championed attitude and a championed mindset.
It's really interesting because I always was borderline when it comes to commitment. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I've heard as a coach and a people practitioner, I've heard stories, of Edison, and I've heard stories of Michael Jordan, and of course Sly Stallone, and there was a massive mountains of commitment on their side. And when I look back, sometimes I think at those stories, I think, was it just a little bit of luck? Because for example, Sly Stallone, he could have ended up destitute. Was it not luck that he ended up having a good ending in his story? It could have ended up being, completely different story, and we might have never heard of him. So I suppose my question is, when is it that you realize that maybe your commitment is going too far? When is it that you go, do you know what? This is not working. Shall I try something else? Because sometimes you could be committed, almost to the point of stupidity. You can't see that it's not working, and you keep going and doing the same thing, because we see we've got another great saying which goes, if you always do what you have always done, you will always get what you have always got. So if you're committed to one purpose and you keep going and falling down, and it's a mistake, and you keep going, I'm committed anyway, and you keep making those mistakes. So I suppose commitment, yes, but also perhaps overview of a bigger picture and the plan when it's not working and it's not worked for a while, and seeing where you need to tweak it, maybe change direction a little bit. I think there's got to be a degree of review, a timeline of reviews when you have to have a look at what you're doing. It's not working and you keep doing that.
Yes, I do agree with that. However, I think that we are going to be walking a very fine line here, Anna.
Yes, you're right, Alejandro. We're definitely threading a thin line there. I think you have got to have a bit of both. Be able to overview your commitment. If things that you are doing working, how can you do them better? But ultimately, of course, stay committed for a longer period of times with perhaps reviews.
Yes, definitely. I think that there is a little bit of lack, even though I don't believe completely on luck, and that's the thing with commitment. And you said it. I mean, when is a good time to see, well, whatever you want to do is not really working, and are you going to keep trying if it's not working? But most people go the other way, Anna, is that they begin doing something new and they want results almost immediately. And if they don't get them immediately, then they throw in the towel, they give up, they quit, and they move on to something else. And I think that is the bigger problem that people have, is that they do not let enough time for something new to begin developing roots and to begin seeing results.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that. And I see it with my fitness clients. There is no quick fix, there is no quick diet, there is nothing quick. Everything takes time. You're not going to exercise for a week or change your mindset and fit into a dress 5 times smaller than what you are in right now. It doesn't work like that. It's a process. And really to become fit and to get the body you want, you have to make fitness part of your identity. You have to keep learning and associating yourself with it. Again, that's what my program is about. It's about learning as much as you can rather than just doing what I tell you to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And then me keeping them committed in their journey, more of a guide, rather an educator, rather than anything else other than that. So interesting. I like that commitment trait because there are so many different angles to it and ways to look at it. So super interesting. How about the next one? I know you mentioned it before because we had a chat before this recording. You mentioned discipline. So tell me more about that.
Yes, well, discipline is what. Let me ask you a question. I mean, what do you think, in your opinion and in your work, what do you think that discipline is? I mean, what is discipline for you? What does that entail?
Right. So for me, discipline is certainly doing it, whether you want to or not.
That's exactly right.
Whether it's painful or not, whether
Yeah.
you have time right now or not. If you said you're going to get it done today, find time. There are always ways to work around your scheduling issues. And actually, I come across discipline issues with some of my clients that I coach because, as coaches, we set very, very specific goals with very specific times. And one of my favorite questions that I ask, so if something gets in the way of you doing this particular thing that you said you were going to do next week at that particular time, how are you going to get around it? Because if I don't ask that question, if they don't get it done at 1 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, they'll say, oh, something got in the way. No, 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 no. Let's talk about discipline. How are you going to work around it? Just like what in the very beginning, we talked about people who do have champions mindset. And it's when they hit the wall, when there is an obstacle, what do? They don't just sit down and say, oh, I'm not going to do it then. They find a way around it. And the same goes, in my experience, with discipline. How are you going to work around it?
That's right, and that's exactly what it is, and everything is in the mind because discipline. Let's talk a little bit, and I think that this is a good visual. If you are a marathon runner, and you sign up for a marathon, is 26.2 miles. Then what happens? I mean, you begin to run, and then you get to, let's say, mile 23, okay? And the body begins not to break down, but the body begins to be painful, and those last 3 miles that you need to run is like the body says, no, I cannot do it. But then is the mind and the heart and that discipline that you said, okay, I am not going to stop until I cross that 26.2 finish line. And that's the discipline that the runner has. Is not, I signed up for this, I'm going to go all the way, not an inch before I cross the line. Not an inch, is all the way. I'm going to play full out, and I'm going to discipline myself, my body, my soul, my mind, in order to accomplish whatever I set up to accomplish. And that is the discipline. And some people have a very strong discipline, and it says, okay, I'm not going to let anything come in the way of me doing this. But there are others that they need to work on their discipline because they get distracted by all these shiny objects around them, and then discipline just gets thrown out of the picture, where discipline has to be the focus and the central point if you want to accomplish something.
Totally, I totally agree. And you know, I will actually keep using fitness in the traits that you proposed people should look out for when they're developing that champion mindset, particularly for people in charge who are looking perhaps to delegate a little bit of the responsibility. Look out for the persistent ones, for the committed ones, the ones that get around the obstacles, you know, because they've got good discipline. My husband always said, do not give me somebody very qualified and very clever. Give me somebody who's persistent. And I suppose that commitment and discipline as well is part of being persistent, isn't it? And I'd like to move on to the next trait that you've proposed, champion mindset should have. And that was consistency. And I will continue using fitness as an example because I think it gives slightly different perspective. I know we're business coaches, we're leadership coaches, but I just think it brings a little bit of a different vibe to the whole conversation. So consistency, and this is a real life example I'll give you before I let you take over. So I've actually had a client. Okay, obviously, due to confidentiality, I cannot share the names, and I would not share anyway, even if I could. But so she was coming to me, and she exercised consistently for a month, and then she didn't for 2 months, and then she said, "Well, I didn't have the results, so I didn't see the purpose of kind of continuing." Let me scream at the wall for a minute. You know. So your consistency is doing it day in, day out, or week in, week out, whatever consistency for you, your business, your team, your own personal life is, whether it's daily, weekly, or whatever it is. But certainly with exercise, if you exercise for a month and you don't see results, then you don't exercise for 2 months and you make a conclusion that, it doesn't work. I'm destined to have the body I have. Duh. You have to do it day in, day out. Consistency. So that's something that I thought would brighten up the conversation.
Sure. And what a great example, what a great illustration. You see that, for instance, I don't know whether you are or you belong to the category of the New Year's resolutioners. The New Year's resolutioners, those people who they have not gotten into it, they have not done anything in a gym. They don't even know what a treadmill is all about, or an elliptical machine. And then they, just because, they've been eating and they've been gaining some weight over the holidays, January 1st is the day where there's going to be a transformation, and they flocked into the gyms. I see them, they come and they just kill themselves, and you see them one day and another day and 1 week and 2 weeks, and perhaps you see them up until maybe the end of February, or even the ones that are a little bit more disciplined until March. And then all of a sudden, you don't see them anymore. You begin to see the regular people that you see every single day at the gym. And it happens every single year. You have those people, they think, Anna, I love to call this generation the microwavable generation. And why do I call the microwavable generation? Is because if you want something quick, if you want a cup of tea and you want to heat water, rather than put the kettle on the stove, you stick it in the microwave. You put 2 minutes. And then in 2 minutes, you can have a good cup of tea. In 2 minutes, you can have a dinner heated and ready to eat, even if it tastes like plastic, but you can eat it very quickly. And that's what people want. They want very quick results. They want microwavable results. And in some cases, microwavable results do not work. And I want everyone to pay real attention to that. Consistency is the key, or one of the major keys to success. John Maxwell used to say, people underestimate the compounding effect of consistent and consistency. Is not that, well, I work out for a month and I'm going to give it up because I don't see any results. Of course, you will not see any results in 1 month. I mean, you've been eating like an elephant all of your life. You are not going to see results in 1 month. You have to give it time. But if you are consistent, you eventually, finally, you will see results. That is a guarantee.
And you know what, Alejandro, sometimes it's not throwing everything into the first month of the year and going mad on the exercise machines, most of the time not actually knowing what they're doing anyway, and not really knowing what results they want. So just vague throwing yourself into the gym thing, I've seen it time and time again. But it's also sometimes better to actually start with small steps and build the momentum. And be consistent. Start small.
Right.
Don't expect too much, but just be consistent with it.
That's right.
And then build on top of that. Very much like with a goal setting. You start with a small concrete steps, and then you build the momentum on top of those steps as you go up, working towards your big goal. So in the fitness example, towards the body you want. Not in a month. You won't get it in a month. No. Have it as 2-year plan. Depends on where you are right now and where you want to be.
That's right.
Yeah, of course.
That's right.
That's important. And do you know what? Again, I'll say the word persistent falls in really nicely with those three traits. Certainly, committed and disciplined person is definitely persistent. But if the person could be consistently persistent, then he's got good beginnings of a champion.
Another word that comes very fittingly into this is the word grit.
Yes.
Grit. A champion and a champion mindset is a mindset with lots of grit. I mean, and what is grit is just not giving up. I mean, you start doing something and you fail, you get up and you try it again. And then you try it again and you try it again. That's the grit that people need. And if you want to develop a championed attitude, there's nothing better. I mean, you have to be a greedy kind of a person. Absolutely. I didn't say greedy, I say gritty, a greedy person.
Gritty. And you know what, I'll give you a good example as an opposite of a champion mindset personality, because I did work with several entrepreneurs who wanted to open up their own businesses, and some successfully and some not so successfully. And that's why I assess people for their mindset first. And even in any fitness transformation journey, I now start with mindset assessment, because it all starts here. And then it could result, based on what's in there, the results will follow, so to say. So a very good example I'll give you. There was this person who was, again, not allowed to share the names, the person who could not really bring themselves to bring their business online. And the way that they went about dominating the platform that they chose which was actually Facebook, to have that online presence was in this way. It's almost like testing the water a little bit and then saying, do you know what, that's a little bit warmer than my body temperature, so I'm just going to pass that for now. So they put maybe 3 posts out and they got no responses. And then they said, do you know what, all this online business, it ain't working for me. And then they did one live, and you know what, I only had 1 viewer, and only for a second. Well, this is not how this works. When you have your business in person, conversion rates are incredible. When you can have a conversation face to face, the person can't go past your live video, they can't go past your post or click off of whatever they are watching that you are streaming, because they're seeing you. So you convert most of the time more than 25%. Now, when you are looking at building your presence online, it's a numbers game. To convert one person, you sometimes need to reach 1,000. And if you've been put off by one person already, you definitely need to go back and study your mindset and develop your commitment, discipline, consistency.
That, that,
And persistency, because this, it's a numbers game, is different. You do have to have those traits within you to be able to take on the challenge of actually growing your business online, which is even more prevalent now than ever. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time for people who wanted to grow their business online, purely because I've got my other two businesses and I'm scaling down the entrepreneurship part of my business because I'm focusing on corporate and leadership at the moment. So let's talk about
sure.
the traits. Let's talk the other traits that you've proposed in our.
The number four is faith, and faith is the right belief. You not only, I mean, a champion develops a belief, not only a belief in the fact that they will do whatever it is. Let's say that a person wants to compete in the Olympics. Not only they train and they believe that they can compete on the Olympics, but they have a right belief in their own ability to develop whatever it is that they need to compete in the Olympics and hopefully to get to that gold medal in the Olympics. It's a strong belief. Champions don't have a poor self-image or a poor self-belief in themselves. As a matter of fact, they have a very high self-belief. That's why they can perform at a level of a champion, because they do believe in their abilities. They do believe that they can stretch even more, that they can go even higher, that they can do even better. And when you have that belief, not only in terms of the sports arena, but even in business, as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, even as a CEO of a company, if you have the self-belief that you are the one prepared to take this company to the next level, then you are going to do it. Are you going to be making mistakes? Oh, yes, of course. But you have that self-belief in yourself that you are the person ready and prepared for that job. Whether you are a manager of a team, you want that team to have certain results or to have certain sales, for next quarter or for next year. Then if that is a strong faith and belief in yourself and the team, you will accomplish. If you don't have that belief, then very unlikely that you are going to get it done.
Absolutely. And again, listening to your suggested traits, very much growth mindset, isn't it? Yes, I'm not good at it yet, but I can get better. So very much in line with that, super important. And then another interesting one that I actually wanted you to discuss that you mentioned in our previous little chat, heart. What do you mean by that?
Well, the last one is hard, and I think that hard is the one. I believe it's the glue that holds them all the others together, because hard is that ability that when well, Anna, let's bring that marathon runner again, or let's bring that mountain climber, that wants to climb, let's say, Mount Everest, and it begins the climb. And as you keep going up the mountain and you see the summit right up there, and you begin to climb the mountain, it goes smooth up until a certain time, a certain place. And then the temperature begins to drop. and the conditions are changing, and you begin to feel very uncomfortable, and you begin to feel very tired and very exhausted, and the trek begins to get much more difficult and challenged. So what you do is, when you think that there's nothing left in you, in your body, even perhaps in your mind, that you cannot take that next step, there is when heart comes into it, and there's when the heart says, it doesn't matter. I mean, we are keep going. We are going to the summit. And it's the heart that takes control. When the body says, I'm giving up, when the mind says, I cannot do it anymore, that's when the heart kicks in. And the heart is that necessary vehicle within yourself that propels you to the summit. And it says, okay, it's I know that you think that there is nothing left in you to do it, but there is, and the heart takes you all the way. And champions, they have that heart that they said, I am not finished until it is finished.
That's really interesting and insightful, Chad, because certain things I didn't actually think about before. I'm very much sort of also growth mindset oriented, and I can see so much growth mindset in those traits. And I would also say to those of you who guys are in the leadership positions, if you are looking for somebody to delegate to who can take you to a different level, those are the traits, according to Alejandro, you should look out for. We have commitment, discipline, consistency, faith, and heart. And of course, look for somebody who's persistent, because a lot of these traits actually go hand in hand with persistency and as well growth mindset. All very much aligned. And what I will say as well is so easy to upskill your staff. If they are not qualified in doing something, if they don't know how to do it, you can show them how, and then they know how to do it, or you educate them on how. But when it comes to those traits of working on their own and being committed, disciplined, etc., everything that you've just heard, they are harder to teach. So look out for those persistent people in your team. Don't overlook the ones perhaps that do not have particular certificate. Our education system, I think, is outdated. Our education system has not been developing and evolving as quickly as we were, but particularly now with everything getting online. We're going from industrial revolution to information revolution right now. So I think the persistency is super, super important. And another thing I would mention as well, of course, it's important to have somebody mentally tough, because particularly due to the situation we had right now, we'll have ripple effects of mental health issues afterwards. So having somebody more resilient, more mentally tough, somebody with thicker skin is more beneficial to yourself as well as to the person who might be, taking on more responsibility. And one concept that I love, and Alejandro knows what I'm going to say now.
Of course, yes. And as a matter of fact, I wanted you to expand on that, because that is also, it really is another part of being mentally tough. And this concept that you, Anna, are going to share with all of us is absolutely incredible. So just go right ahead.
Yes, it is an incredible concept, and it's really all to do with resilience, that it's not enough to be resilient. You have to be anti-fragile. This is something that I've talked about in the previous lives, actually. I talked about people, companies, teams who thrive on chaos. The more chaos, the better they get as a result of it. So rather than just getting back to the normality, to the normal state of a person, of a team, of a company, whatever it is, to the same state as it was in before, anti-fragile people, companies, teams, they emerge better, bigger and stronger. So if you can observe something like this in your employees, go and grab them by the neck, because they'll be amazing at leading your teams and getting them out the other side in crisis like these, being better and stronger. I've met several people like this after familiarizing myself with the concept. I've observed loads of companies, lots of people in leadership positions who've actually used this crisis amazingly well. They haven't allowed any opportunities go to waste. They actually restructured and emerged better than they were before, and that is very much in line with concept of anti-fragility. Another thing I'll mention, I'll actually will be the last thing, and I will let Alejandro expand a little bit more on that. So having a team supporting those people who are champions, or you're trying to develop them into good champions, or team leaders, or company managers, whatever it might be. It's important to have a good team supporting them. And by good team, what I mean is that team which is diverse, and diversity in inclusion is a big subject right now. But diverse not just in terms of skin colors and cultural differences, but also say diverse team when it comes to their personality styles as well. So that they all complement one another, and there is a handbrake, and there is accelerator pedal, and there is a team glue person, and there is a creative person there, so that your potential champion can draw on all those different personality styles. And to do this, all you have to do is contact us at info@havetheedge.org, and we will have a chat with you about how we can help you in the process of profiling your staff. And of course, I will let you, Alejandro, to close this off, finishing on actual delegation.
Yes, well, let me just say that touching a little bit on having a supporting team. Everybody knows, because the champion is the person whose face you see up in the forefront. That's the champ. But we have to look at behind the scenes, for a champion to do whatever they need to do. Very rarely they do things on their own alone. They have that supporting team behind them that supports them in different areas. And we cannot neglect, the fact that, yes, you see how a champion performs, but it's also the team behind them that helps them, that encourages them, that provides them whatever they need in order to keep performing at that very high level. And delegation, yes, delegation is important, because we cannot, even if we try to do everything ourselves, there's not enough time in the day to do everything. And if we want to increase our effectiveness and efficiency in what we do, we need to start developing that art of delegating. And I think there is an art, because you have to know who you are delegating things to. Because it can be a gun with two barrels. You delegate to the wrong person and you are shooting yourself. and so it's that. But delegation is very important, especially in business. When you reach a certain level, listen, I don't know any CEO or any vice president or any top executive in any company, in any organization, who is successful and who is not great at delegating to others, because the CEO cannot do everything that needs to be done. You have to delegate.
And you know what, guys? You watching, again, Alejandro is preparing a life with with another one of our team members, and we're going to have a whole live session talking just delegation. I believe you're working with Samuel on this one, Alejandro, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and that is coming soon. So,
Very,
yeah.
very soon, yes. So keep an eye on the posters that we're posting so that you don't miss out on this wonderful live that they're preparing for you. And also on the subject of actual teams, I would also say that there is always a conflict where there is a team. There is always tension. There are some people who, within the team environment, deal better with changes. There are some people that thrive on changes. So be aware of that. And you know, one person in a team could slow it down by up to 40% if there is resistance. If they are not all rowing in the same direction, very similarly to a boat, if one of them is rowing in a different direction, it will slow down the boat. So if there is an issue there somewhere, if there is a conflict perhaps of values or there is a conflict of certain beliefs, a lot of them could be cultural. That's where diversity inclusion comes in, and biases, etc. But consider hiring corporate and executive coach who specializes in the team coaching. They are wonderful at getting things sorted out internally for you.
And as a matter of fact, I mean, you mentioned teams, and it's amazing, Anna, when we get into what I call team dynamics. I mean, the dynamics within a team, and how to make a team work more efficiently. How communication within a team, I mean, absolutely imperative. I mean, very important. And something that you love to talk about, and that is personality styles. I mean, in a team, you are going to have all different personalities, and if you want that team to work efficiently, then you have to be able to communicate with all personalities, whether you're going to have the driven personalities, you're going to have the very helpful personalities, you're going to have the very exuberant personalities, and you're going to have the personalities that keep checking everything to make sure that everything is right. And so there is that beauty and that diversity of personalities that if you know how to navigate those, then you are going to help that team thrive and flourish.
Absolutely, and that's what actual this training comes in. Profiling is one thing. You get to know exactly, what makes your team members tick, and more on about how they tend to behave. But for that actual understanding of the different personalities styles rather than just your own, that's where the disc training comes in, and it's a wonderful tool. I've delivered it over 1 day, half a day, 3 days, depends on the company's needs, of course. It's great at depersonalizing the conflict, because a lot of the times different personality styles take things personally, and that's where the tension comes in. But after disc training, they go, this totally makes sense, because all of a sudden they're looking at their conflict and this disagreement from a completely different perspective. And again, to give you an example, obviously I'm a disc trainer, so I've delivered this training many times, and I've been to this training many times, so I've got very good understanding of it. And for me, an advantage of knowing disc so well to the core is the fact that I could actually switch between different personality styles quite easily. So as you know, Alejandro, you couldn't tell my personality style at all, and that's great. If you can develop somebody to a very good level and consistently train them, not have one training, but follow up, you can develop people who can switch between different personality styles if the certain style is lacking as well. And that's an incredible skill to be able to have.
Sure. So let me just let's wrap this up. But before we do that, Anna, be honest with me. I know that even before this session, you are one of those people who live with a champion mindset. But from today moving forward, are you going to even challenge yourself even higher and to have an even higher champion mindset? I mean, has this been helpful to you in keep developing and evolving that champion mindset that you already had?
Absolutely, it was it's so interesting to see your take on it, and looking at the traits. And as as you were sharing them with me, and you shared them with me before, I've got a list in front of me, hence why I was able to pull them up and chat about them. It was really interesting how we as humans were trying to always make sense of what we're learning. And as you were talking about the traits, I was making sense of what you are saying using what I already knew in different areas of expertise. So a lot of growth mindset came up, a lot of persistence came up, didn't it? A lot of stories came up, and it's all
Yes.
interconnected. And it was interesting to see how my mind works as well. Yeah, and again, how each coach and each trainer has got slightly different take
Yeah.
on very similar stuff, right? So we
Sure.
all train differently, we all develop differently. So it was super interesting. And definitely I'll be taking into account the traits that you've mentioned today. So thank you so much for jumping on the call with me on this Saturday and having a nice, relaxed chat about developing the mindset of a champion. And I hope the
Excellent.
viewers enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much, Alejandro.
I really enjoyed it. It's always, you know me. It's always a pleasure. I mean, to share valuable content and content that is going to help other people to reach to their higher potential and to keep moving towards their very best selves.
Absolutely. The very best leaders, the very best champions.
Yes.
I hope it's going to help people who are looking at their stuff thinking, who am I going to get to lead this team? Maybe, hopefully, after watching this, you guys went, actually, I will look for persistent ones, for disciplined ones, for committed ones. Perhaps put away the CVs for a moment with all the diplomas and qualifications on them. Actually, look for the traits first of all, because they're so much harder to develop than to upskill your people with qualification or a how to do something, showing them how
Yeah.
to. So thank you so much for joining us. And actually, we will see you again tomorrow. I believe we've got another live on a Sunday at 1 p.m. So
Yes.
have
Looking
one.
forward to that.
Yes, exactly. Have a lovely rest of the Saturday, and we'll see you again tomorrow.